Good afternoon. My name is David Dubbs. I'm the CEO and founder of My Digital Health Network. We have a platform for chronic disease management with a focus on heart failure. Our mission is to cut the rate of unnecessary readmission by 2x. So these are data from Stanford and UCSF, although they're comparable to most payer organizations where the 30-day post-discharge window, which all provider organizations are sort of monitoring to, has improved. Stanford and UCSF had 22% at their baseline, and they implemented a high engagement protocol, which have been able to improve to 14% readmission within the 30-day window. But if you look out to 90 days, the rate on readmission is unchanged. Effectively, a third of their patients are back, regardless of what the providers did in the first 30 days. And so we think the 14% represents the floor. Those patients are coming back no matter what you do, but the delta between the 14 and the 33% represents about 250,000 patients, and at an average cost per readmission of $13,000, it's about $2.5 billion in found money. And obviously those patients come back more than once. It's usually 3 or 4 times. How do we do it? We provide the patient with a tablet computer that runs our application exclusively. We pair it with a number of wireless devices that are uniquely connected to that tablet, and so it's all preset. There's nothing for the patient to acquire or to set up. They go home, all they have to do is get on a scale, put on a cuff, hit a button. About a third of the patients are also diabetic. They prick their finger, and all of that data flows to our cloud. Importantly, we also do medication compliance in a unique way. We pull the data directly from the PBMs, so we see everything that they take. So it's pulled into our application, and the tablet will both visually and audibly say, hey, it's now time for you to take your Lasix. Let me know when you've taken it. When they confirm on the tablet that they've taken their medication, we can see in our cloud that they are compliant. So that's kind of half the battle of keeping them out of the hospital, is keeping them compliant with their meds. This is Willi Kraft, 83 years old, heart failure patient and insulin-dependent diabetic, was in and out of the hospital 4 times in 2016, has been on our platform for over 3 years and hasn't been back. This is his clinical team, his cardiologist, his primary care physician, his endocrinologist, nurse practitioner, and on the bottom right is his daughter, who is a doctor, anesthesiologist, and head of the University of Arizona Medical School. So they all receive an instantaneous notification when Willi has an out-of-range condition. This is his home screen. On the left are all of his medications that are automatically populated to the application, and on the right are his daily vital signs data. And this is what it looks like, all of his data tracked over time in our cloud. And when he has an out-of-range condition, it shows up as a red alert and instantly sends an alert to those 5 people. Obviously, Medicare Advantage plans are interested in this kind of technology, as well as provider organization and post-care care providers. Our business model looks to grow our users to about 150,000 people in the next 5 years. This is sort of a Livongo type of ramp, which we think is achievable. Our revenue is a blended rate of both a CMS code for remote tracking of 2 or more chronic diseases, plus a success fee from the payers for helping to manage these patients post-discharge. A lot of competition in RPM, remote patient monitoring. It's a crowded field, a lot of people chasing this. The way that we look at it, though, is that it's not unlike years ago in the search engine field where you had a lot of people chasing search. Ultimately, Google won because they had a better algorithm and a better interface, and that's fundamentally what we have. We've been deployed at El Camino Hospital and at Texalud in Monterrey, Mexico. We have an approved IRB with the Veterans Administration. I was previously head of a $66 billion healthcare company, Medco, where I ran innovation. We have a very experienced team of folks who've been involved in healthcare development for 30 years. and Cracker Jack group of advisory board. So that's it. We're actually in the process of raising our first outside money, and the product is built and deployed, but we are now looking to expand and scale with our first venture fund. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit how you plan to engage the patients with the platform? Do they have to log in when they're taking a medication, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So this is all set up for them in advance. So they typically come into the hospital or to their physician. We spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes on an onboarding exercise. We show them how to use the platform, but it's really pretty simple. You know, we have a 92-year-old Asian woman who speaks no English who's been on it for over a year. We can actually see in our back end their rate of compliance, and we've seen pretty successful rates of using the platform.
Yeah, thank you. Nice presentation. I was curious as to the decision to have a proprietary hardware device or tablet rather than focus on the software, the user interface, the dashboard, et cetera, which is very nice, because that introduces a whole lot of problems. So can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts of having a proprietary tablet that you push out, or how are you managing that?
Yeah, so first of all, it's not proprietary hardware. It's a platform we're providing to them, but it's an off-the-shelf tablet computer. And the fact is that setting all of this up and making it elegantly easy for them to use is not trivial. So most patients don't know what a PBM is in order to set up the whole medication compliance piece of it. So that all has to be done for them. So when they get home, all they have to do is, get on the scale, put on a cuff. It'll tell them which medications to take when, and so all of that is, pretty easy. Otherwise, I mean, apps. In my experience, 30 years of developing consumer products, everything you ask a consumer to do is one more thing they won't do. So if they have to go out and find an application, download it, register it, pair it with something else, it's just going to fall apart.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
How are you mitigating the interoperability challenges with all of this data streaming from the devices to your tablet, but how about the interchange with the electronic health record across multiple organizations that use multiple vendors?
Well, so this data is stored in our proprietary cloud, and so we can provide that information to the clinical team. If they're on Epic, for example, we provide them with a link to this, so they can log in with credentials to see exactly what's going on with all of their patients. So we're not uploading the raw data into an EMR. We're hosting it in our own cloud, and it's a HIPAA compliant cloud source.
And how are you managing the patient expectations around the physicians aren't sitting there waiting for this data 24/7, so how are you managing emergent versus non-emergent and red, yellow, green, that type of thing?
Yeah, so actually when we were working with physicians to develop this, they basically said, all this quantified self stuff is, we don't care about that. We only want to know when we need to know. We only need to know when it's a problem. And so that's why we have trigger points that we set up in conjunction with. Generally, it's the nurse practitioner that says, this guy is usually 160 pounds. I don't want to know anything unless he's 165 pounds. And so that we set the triggers based upon input from the clinical team.
Is this available in other languages, or, just thinking about vulnerable populations, are you addressing, how is Medicaid looking at this?
I'm sorry?
Are you thinking about the Medicaid market?
Well, first of all, right now it's English only. In Mexico, we're deployed in an English language, but I'm not sure about the Medicaid question. We are eligible for a CPT code that provides reimbursement. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so as I indicated, there's a CPT code that we collect. It's $41 per month per patient. And then we also collect a success fee from the payer. So it's a blended rate. It amounts to about $120 per month per patient.
And
Yeah.
then, so the hardware is already,
It's included.
is included.
It's totally included. So all in, it's about $300 in hardware. Yeah.
Okay, that was a really great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.